Welcome to Interviews, hosted by Randy Goodman, Harvey Callis Real Estate, your real estate professional. Get to know our community, our businesses, products, and services that will elevate your life. Please welcome your hostess, Randy Goodman.
Hey everybody, it's Randy Goodman here from Harvey Callis Real Estate. And yes, I have my hair up because it's hot and I can't take it. Okay, so I'm here with the lovely Catherine Sternberg, who is an assertiveness coach, and I can't wait to learn all about that. So Catherine, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I look forward to getting to know you. So tell us a little bit about what is an assertiveness coach?
So an assertiveness coach is someone who helps women understand how they get to say how things go in their relationships and in their job or their business, so that they don't feel powerless or they don't feel a victim of their circumstances, and so that they realize that we always have choices, even though it may not seem so at the time.
Okay, perfect. So how do you help your clients? What are the different ways that you do that?
Well, just to let you know a bit about that, I work with them in developing scripts that they can use in different situations so that they're never without a loss for words. And it's often just adjusting that script for different people or different scenarios, but the ideal conversation is to tell someone what you need and to state what their actions are causing in the way of a reaction from you or in the way of a result, and then asking them to adjust the way that they interact with you, getting their agreement, and then if they do agree, reminding them when they don't honor that. So oftentimes we ask someone to do something for us, but when they don't do it, we say, well, I tried, but it didn't work. So
Right.
They give up.
Right.
And the idea is to go back and reinforce the behavior that you want in a person so that you get your needs met without affecting them in a negative way.
Love that. Okay, so is this something that you always did, Catherine?
No, I was a corporate trainer, and I found out that sometimes managers had problems having those difficult conversations. So that was one reason why I became interested in the aspect of communication. And the other reason was in my personal life, I wasn't that assertive myself. And so I studied about it for years and realized that it's a learned skill. It's not something that you naturally have to be born with.
Right.
And I think that's why women can relate to me, because I'm not naturally assertive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can understand what they're struggling with when they're developing those skills.
Right. I guess it really helps to get them out of their shell in that regard because you've been there, so you
Yes.
understand that, which is awesome.
Yes.
Okay, great. So what would somebody be thinking, feeling, doing that would be the right person to reach out to you?
So it would be generally a woman who has trouble setting boundaries, someone who always thinks of the right thing to say after the situation's over and feels that they can't go back and correct it, which is not true. You can always go back and correct it. Someone that sees warning signs in relationships, red flags, and overlooks them, or they're always moving their boundaries back further and they let people cross that line all the time.
Right.
Someone who's experiencing bullying in the workplace or bullying in their relationship, and someone who's a people pleaser and is too quick to forgive someone when they offend them.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you.
That's a lot of us.
Yeah, it sure is. So can you give us an example of a client, maybe no names, but maybe
Yes.
what was happening before and then what was happening after?
Sure. So I had a client who was having an issue with her partner, and she wasn't getting a lot of cooperation. So she would wait until the situation built to a point where she would blow up and she would react rather than try and gain cooperation. So we talked about whether she wanted this relationship in her life, and she said yes, she was committed to it. And so we decided that she would take 100% responsibility for the outcome of what happened in that relationship. So that meant that she wouldn't expect her partner to make the changes, she would make the changes. And it's sort of like gravity. When you shift the way you're being with someone, they automatically have to shift whether they want to or not. Because number one, you're setting new standards for the relationship, and you're also putting boundaries in place.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggested to her that she approach him when they were in a calm state rather than from a reactive state.
Right.
So when things were going well, she would approach him about how they could up level their relationship rather than finding fault with him. And their relationship improved drastically, and her husband didn't even know that she was working on this. He just thought that things were going a lot better between them.
Right.
And so when you're coming at it from a place of taking responsibility instead of feeling like a victim and someone else is always doing something to you,
Right.
you approach things in a much lighter frame of mind and you get much more cooperation.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A whole psychological game there, but
Right.
a positive
right.
one.
with yourself.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay. So do you have any tips or suggestions for people out there? And it can have to do with anything, personal, professional, whatever is resonating with you right now.
So I'm going to talk about personal boundaries because that affects everything you do. So in the case of personal boundaries, there are types of behavior or actions that you might see as being unacceptable. And they vary with each individual that you deal with and every relationship that you have. So what you want to do is recognize your limits, because so many of us are people pleasers and we don't set limits and we don't understand even what our limits are. So it's important to give time to what you value in a relationship so that you're not disappointed, you don't have regret, you don't have fear, and you don't have anger in a relationship. And once you recognize your limits, it's important to stand up for them and to let other people know what those limits are. So sometimes we think that people will like us if we're easygoing and pleasing, but people actually like to know where you stand. Mm-hmm. And they like to have boundaries so that they know when they're, stepping over them.
Right.
So for instance, if you're asking someone what they'd like to do and they say, oh, whatever you want to do, that gets tiring after a while. If you're always the one having to make all the decisions and you don't know whether what you're choosing actually is aligned with what the other person wants. Do you know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm. You can explain.
Mm-hmm.
So that others understand. Yep.
So it puts a lot of pressure on one person if you're not taking an equal role in the decision making in a relationship, and if you're not sharing the things that excite you or the things that upset you or the things that you tolerate and the things that you don't tolerate. And what that can do is lead to all kinds of disasters in relationships. So it can lead to verbal and emotional abuse in a relationship. Mm-hmm. It can lead to fraud if you're dating someone online and you don't have certain standards for what you allow in that interaction. And in the workplace, it can have you feeling lesser than who you really are when you take criticism, even if it's a deserved criticism, if you take it in a way that's demeaning to you.
Right.
So it's really important to stand up for how you want to be treated in any relationship.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And what would you say to people who are out there that might be afraid of their spouse are afraid to rock the boat. Like what would you suggest to them, and do you work with them?
I work with them. Now, I don't work with someone who's experiencing physical abuse because that's not my background and my training. But if someone's experiencing verbal abuse or emotional abuse, or they're just afraid to approach their partner, it doesn't even have to be that they're experiencing that. If they're afraid to approach their partner and tell the partner what they want from the relationship, then I definitely work with them. And we start off in small stages and we express our needs and our desires, and see what the reaction is from the other person. And if we present it in a way that's accepted by the other person, then we can move forward and take steps to improving that relationship. If the other person isn't open to working with us, then we have to really question the relationship, because if they don't want us to be happy and satisfied in the relationship, then there's a bigger issue.
Right, right. Which could be there for sure. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for sharing that. So how do people get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
Well, right now I'm offering tips on setting and understanding boundaries on my Facebook page, Assertiveness Formula for Women. And they can message me there, or they can send me a message on my personal page under Catherine Sternberg, and just let me know that they'd like to have a conversation. And I'm happy to give them some ideas about how they can move their situation forward, and see if it's something that I can offer to support them in that journey.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing with us, Catherine.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, it was really good. And I love that you're helping people. And some people sometimes may not even realize that they're in a situation that could have a positive change to it. Sometimes they think it's hopeless.
Yes.
So it's nice to see that, there's people out there like yourself who can help them to have a better relationship, like the example that you gave, where it kind of happened without anybody really realizing that, coaching or therapy was going on or anything behind the scenes, right?
That's right. And it's especially important in dating as well, because sometimes we become a chameleon and we try to please the other person so much that we're not even a true representation of ourselves.
Right.
And we do all the giving.
Yeah, you're so right. So thank you so much again for sharing with us. And I look forward to hearing stories of people who reached out to you.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Randy.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this interview hosted by Randy Goodman. We hope you will take action and connect with the incredible business people and leaders in our community. And remember, Randy is always here to answer any questions you have regarding your real estate needs. Be sure to register on the website and stay up to date on what's happening in your area at parkbench.com/millpond.